September's patch notes are out for Mechwarrior Online. Hi friends, I'm TTB. Welcome back to Mechwarrior Online News. Guys, the patch notes are here. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so you might want to pause the video at this point, get yourself a beverage, sit back and relax, because this might be yet another long one, because we've got another quirk balance pass to cover, as well as other stuff. Let's get right to it. The patch will hit on September 21st. 10 a.m. PDT. Looks like Darren wasn't able to get patch notes written up because he lost power at his house. So we will just make do with what we have right now. The first update for the September patch is going to be Caustic Valley Reborn. Caustic Valley is the latest map to be reworked by Francois with feedback from the Cauldron. There's a U missing. Check out these moody scenes. Let us know what you think of the map when it launches next week. Well, here's the thing. We don't get to see the full map, so we can't tell them what we think of the map right now. We can only say, yeah, okay, let's have a look at those. We click on it, and we see, okay, boulders. I see a raised area. I don't know if we can get to that raised area anymore. Lots of cover. What I'm also seeing is with these raised ridge lines, I'm already dreading them, because I know mechs will get snagged up on these, especially slower mechs will get snagged up on these ridge lines, so be careful of that. How do we get back? There we go. Moving on to the next picture. Oh, lots of smoke, lots of haze, a little bit of a hill right here. We're looking at this. The problem is we don't really know the layout of the map, so we can just look at the screenshots from what we see right now. It doesn't really tell us much, especially because this is all just hidden in a sulfurous haze, right? Moving on to the third and final screenshot. Yeah, once again, those terraces, like getting up on these is going to be hell on assault mechs. This is going to be difficult, because you're always going to get snagged up on these. So keep that in mind. Other than that, it looks like there's ample cover in this area. It might be good for brawling, but then again, there's like one open big area with little cover around. So we'll see until we see the full size of the map. Right now, I'm going to reserve judgment. I just hope it doesn't turn into yet another long-range Cauldron snipe fest. And yes, Cauldron, guys, that is a problem that a lot of people have been reaching out to me with about, which is that they feel that the maps right now are a little bit too open. It encourages too much of that 4-man comp players sitting in a corner, just sniping everybody down kind of gameplay, and it discourages some classic brawling. So I would like to see less long open lines of sight for a change, and more stuff that is really made for some cool brawling. Like, for example, Solaris City. You have some long range sightings, but it's a lot less easy to rotate around, and it's a lot easier to brawl. So we'll see if this map can deliver on any of this, but it also looks like this, at least the center area, looks like Lerm Paradise. Yes, you've got cover, but this is not very high cover. You can easily shoot Lerms above that, so my fear is that it will be the 4th map in a row that has this kind of characteristic, which is very open and very snipey, and I just don't know if that's the best way to go about this. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comments below. All right, now we will have some weapons adjustments. Let's see what the Cauldron came up with. As a continuation of our assessment of weapon performance since April, the following changes have been made. Clan Large Pulse Laser heat penalty multiplier goes to 6.25 from 4, which is from 3 from last month. So they basically just want to discourage shooting 4 Clan Large Pulses at the same time, and to also make shooting 3 large pulses a little bit more punishing in terms of the heat. We'll have to test how it goes. We have a couple of 3 large pulse clan builds that we enjoyed, for example, the Timberwolf or the Hellbringer. So it will be nice to make like a comparison to see how they then perform. It's still not going to be horrible, I feel, but actually maybe it will be. Maybe it will be. We'll have to see, like 3 times more heat on top. We'll check it out. We'll check it out. This change only affects the incurred penalty and does not change how the weapon works with no heat penalties being applied, i.e. when you just shoot 2 at the same time. For the Gauss Rifle and Clan Gauss Rifle, they increase the minimum heat penalty limit to 7, up from 4, with respectively 3. Now, this is a weird change, and it took me a while to understand what they're doing here, but basically what they're doing is they're basically making the Gauss Rifles completely like not trigger heat penalty at all. You can only shoot 2 Gauss Rifles at the same time, And that way they just ensure that if they do quirks that, for example, go PPC heat scale limit or EPPC heat scale limit +1, +2, whatever, they just ensure that you can throw Gauss rifles in the mix, and that Gauss rifle will not trigger an insane PPC heat spike. So, long story short, that will allow things like 3 PPCs and 1 Gauss rifle, or 2 heavy PPCs and a Gauss rifle without penalty on a PPC heat scale limit +1 quirked mech. So they're also preparing for quirks further down the line with this as well. I think they also mentioned that there could be a couple of mechs that can do this kind of stuff, but I can't find it right now. So yeah, Gauss rifles, as always, will have a charge limit of 2. So that's the hard limit on how many Gauss rifles you can use in an alpha. And everything else on top are PPCs. And all types of PPC weapons have a minimum heat penalty limits equal to 3 and above. Okay, moving on. Rocket launchers get improved as well. The exponential damage falloff is added under 50 meters instead of minimum range, and the range will be reduced to 500 meters flat on all the rocket launchers, just to make the rocket launchers a little bit more useful. I like this change. I would like to see this change to happen for the heavy PPCs as well, because I think gradually PGI begins to realize that those minimum ranges are just a freaking annoyance and not adding any fun to those weapons. So again, I want to see the minimum range also fall off the heavy PPC. Clan LRM 20, 15, 10, and 5 get a buff. The missile per health per missile value is increased a little bit for Clan LRMs, just so they get a little bit more performant and consistent against AMS. Clan LRM salvos would be able to push up to 1 to 2 more missiles per salvo past the AMS bubble, depending on the size of the launcher and or active AMS systems around. So this is not going to murder you. This is just that Clan LRM rain is going to hurt a teensy bit more if you have AMS around moving forward. Then there are a couple of mech default loadout adjustments. This patch includes adjustments to maximum engine limits on a number of underperforming mechs as an attempt to maintain balance between variants of the same chassis and same weight class or roles. The Flea has had its max engine increased on the following variants: Flea 15, 19, and 5, Romeo 5000. Max engine increased to 180 from 170. The Vindicators, max engine 300 from 295 on the 1AA. The 1R gets 250 from 235. The 1X gets a max engine increase to 250 from 235, and the one that's the St. Ives Blues to 275 from 250. This is nice. I'm looking forward to this. The Hatamoto Chi max engine has been increased on the 28 TR and the Shogu from 290 up to 325. Really, really nice, really important. Hatamoto Chi was at a weird spot where it was a fairly light assault mech, yet super slow because the max engine size was just so low. This is a nice and welcome change. This will probably change one of the builds on the Shogu that you guys will see on German Engineering very soon, a Samurai. Direwolf Prime can no longer equip ECM in the center torso. That was an oversight mistake that was introduced with the last patch, and they are now correcting that patch. Reasoning was also that if they had the ECM in there, they would have had to lower the armor on that CT to balance for it. So it's gone now. If you want the ECM on a Direwolf, guys, you're gonna have to buy the Warden pack. Moving on to Mech Quirks. This is the big kahuna. It's going to be a full page. Well, it's going to be a couple of pages, just Mech Quirks. I'm going to try to go through them as quickly as possible. I'm not going to mention every single quirk because I do not want to bore the living bejesus out of you. So I'm just going to mention what I find super interesting, or what strikes me as super interesting. Locust 1V. That's the one that only has one energy hardpoint, right? 50% energy cooldown, minus 35% laser duration. That is going to be interesting. Locust 3S, they're also introducing a new thing here, which is ammo per ton quirks. So basically, on the Locust 3S, if you put in 1 ton of ammo, you get the equivalent of 2 tons of ammo. So these quirks really help with mechs that have been struggling with weight versus like weapons. It allows you to bring more ammo on these mechs for less tonnage used, which is really, really nice. Same thing on the Locust 1M. The other ones just get machine gun rate of fire, heat dissipation. Locust Pirate's Bane also gets like 100% machine gun ammo per ton, same thing for the Locust 3V and the Locust 1V as well. The Mistlynxes, the right torso gets missile spread, velocity, and heat on the Mistlynx Prime. So you gotta keep a look on these side torsos. This is not set of 8, by the way. The set of 8 is only machine gun rate of fire 25% increased. So keep an eye on that as well. They're using structure, removing structure and using armor instead. Very nice. Mistlynx Delta gets 100% ballistic ammo per ton on left arm, but only for ACs, UX, and LBs. Important. And then again, armor, more armor, less structure. I agree. Very nice. It also like the whole idea behind more armor and less structure also fits not only with the game itself, as in once the armor is pierced, the structure should not take 10 bajillion shots anymore, but also fits with the lore. As soon as the armor is pierced, you start to do some real damage, right? So I kind of like that change. And also, armor is always better than structure because if armor gets shot, and like you don't get any damage on your underlying components. If structure gets shot, you can get components crit out. So armor is always better than structure. Arctic Cheetah Bravo gets 100% ballistic ammo per ton on the right arm, including Gauss. Can you get a Gauss on an Arctic Cheetah? Oh, hell no. Spider, the 5K, we've played that one, sending stuff to orbit for the 5V. Energy cooldown 40%, energy cooldown 50%, laser duration 25%. That's going to be interesting. Spider Alpha plus 1 target decay duration for whatever reason and 15% missile velocity. All right. Incubus 5 gets a 30% capture accelerator. And the Saber gets missile cooldown and reduced cooldown. So that basically will be a missile cooldown of 22.5% reduction. The Cougar, the one that we played with an LB20, I believe, or UAC20, 40% ballistic ammo increase to left arm on the Charlie, 40% ballistic ammo increase to the right arm pod. So that basically means that if you choose the right pod, you can actually get some nice extra ammo. The Cougar H gets more jump jet duration and thrust, plus some more ammo. The Adder, some ballistics cooldown for the other Delta, and your jam chance on the right arm. These are all right arm changes, 40% ballistic ammo as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on, guys. There's a lot of stuff. Like, there's no way that anybody can remember all of this. So you will just go through your mechs, and when you go through your mechs, have a look at whether this mech has been changed or not, based on the list, and then just look at what has been changed and then think about, maybe I need to adapt my builds, right? Arctic Wolf Prime, 50% ammo per ton for missile weapons. Only if you have a set of 8, though. Arctic Wolf BK gets a 50% ballistic ammo per ton, but that is just a quirk, not set of 8. Okay. Hellspawn. All variants get 8 armor on left leg and right leg. Hellspawn 7 Delta, pulse laser range was getting removed, and it's going to get replaced with energy range, medium pulse laser range, and missile quirks as well. The 8E gets plus 1 to target decay duration, minus 10% missile spread, cooldown and range have been removed, added energy cooldown and energy range. Okay, so basically they're going back on the changes they did last time and nerfing it again for some reason. Yeah, this doesn't look like good trades. Like removing cooldown and range for missile spread, target decay, and the energy cooldown. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I have no idea what the quadrant is doing with that. The problem is there's also no reasoning given why they go for these changes, right? That could help you understand that. If they do that, it's gonna increase the size of this document a lot more, but at least it would be a little bit more understandable why they're doing these things. 9F is gonna get MRM velocity. Cooldown gets removed though. Minus 10% missile heat, but the cooldown on the missiles is not going to be present anymore. Yeah, same thing here. A lot of weird changes. Hellspawn 8P, SRM6 heat scale limit plus 1. Now that is interesting. That is interesting. So 5 SRM6 on that thing, and 10% SRM range. Okay, so the 8P is something definitely worth check out. And 72, the Paralyzer, 50% stealth armor cooldown. Okay, if you feel the need for that. And minus 20% to standard and ER laser duration. That could be nice. On the Hellfires, more armor to left arm and right arm, as well as left torso CT and right torso. There's a couple of like minor things getting changed around. Nothing too insane that I could see right now. Thunderbolts. 5S gets 10% large laser heat. The 5SS gets medium pulse laser heat skill limit +1, medium laser heat skill limit +1, medium pulse laser range 15% increased, 5% medium pulse laser heat, 10% medium laser range, and energy heat and energy range get reduced. So basically, like again, what they were doing last time was just getting flat quirks in, like energy range, energy heat, as opposed to just a specific thing like medium pulse laser heat or large pulse laser range. And now they're going back on that again. I don't understand really why, but there's most certainly a reason. I'm just missing that reason in this document, so that doesn't make it easy to understand what is going on here. 10SE, they remove the PPC heat, increase heat to -10%, and add 5% heat dissipation. Okay, so 10SE, the PPCs could be interesting as well. Timberwolf's torso yaw speed increased 10% on right torso for Timberwolf Charlie and missile velocity on the right torso. The Awesomes, there we go. Guys, the Awesomes are getting some love. Remember the pretty baby? Let's see what we get here. Structure gets removed. Instead, we get armor 20 on the left torso, right torso, 27 on CT, 15 armor, light armor, left arm, right arm. Large pulse laser heat skill limit +1. This thing can shoot 4 large pulses at the same time and heat -15%. Nice. 8V gets also armor, of course, plus -20% laser duration, 20% PPC velocity. The 9M gets more armor on the arms, energy range, and ER PPC velocity 40%. And the pretty baby. Okay, let's see what the pretty badly does. Armor, missile velocity, laser duration, -20%, and 10% PPC velocity. Okay, this is gonna make this mech good. It's gonna make it a little bit better, but it's still gonna struggle from the hard points and everything else. So, as I said, guys, no amount of quirks, unless they're super overpowered, can turn a bad layout of a mech into a good mech. Unless the quirks are super strong. I'm not seeing this here. Like for the pretty baby, I would like to see something like 20% missile cooldown or something like that, or 30% missile cooldown, or like added hard points for lasers. I don't know. Moving on. Victors. 9K Gauss rifle cooldown -10%, 15% weapon velocity. 9S gets 5% AC20 cooldown and ballistics cooldown 10%. Interesting here, Highlander 733P, standard PPC, and snubnose PPC heat scale limit +1. So this could be an interesting mech for PPCs, either standard or snubnoses. 2C Keeper, hero mech, gets increased CT armor to +27. Nice. And now we're moving on to the Supernovas. Supernova 1, finally, Clan ER large laser heat skill limit +1. So that means 3 and 3. Left hand, right hand. Supernova 1 will be very interesting. Supernova 3, PPC velocity and PPC heat. Nice. Supernova Bravo gets laser duration and ER large laser heat. And the Boiler gets 10% ballistic velocity for those 2xAC20 taps. Atlas, the 7D, gets increased ballistics cooldown -10% and 10% velocity. The RS gets 10% energy heat. So buff on the Atlas D, buff on the Atlas RS. Nice. The Fleas. This is something for Tuna Fist here. -20% overheat damage, -15% overheat damage on the 15. The best one is the 19. Gets armor increased on the legs, armor increased on everything else as well. -50% overheat damage, -20% cooldown, and another 100% ammo for machine gun ammo per ton. Nice. Piranhas. Yes, guys, the Piranhas are getting buffed. Armor on all the components. Structure quirks are getting removed. Piranha 2 and 3 actually get some extra structure on the legs. The Piranha Alpha has the structure quirks removed. Overheat damage also gets removed. Some survival quirks. Yeah, it's just structure, left torso, right torso. Not on the legs as much anymore. Basically, Piranha is, even with those changes, Piranha is still going to be fairly flimsy. The main strength of the Piranha is if they can attack unseen, or if your teammates are blind, which in most cases they are, then they will do a lot of damage. But Piranhas are also fairly flimsy, so if you hit them hard once, they will normally retreat or be dead. Now then, 10% cooldown, by the way, and 10% heat on the Alpha. Plus 100% machine gun ammo per ton on the Alpha and the Bravo. Kid Foxes, the Skill Foxes, 15 structure on CT on all variants. Kid Fox Prime gets increased structure as opposed to armor. Okay. 40% ballistic ammo per ton on right torso and right arm ports. That's interesting. Kid Fox Delta gets a missile cooldown on left arm, left torso. Missile spread. on left torso, missile velocity on left torso and right torso, plus 50% extra ammo per ton. Kit Fox Charlie right arm plus 7 armor. Left torso and right torso extra increased structure. So just increased tankiness right here. Kit Fox Purifier, 20% ballistic ammo on left arm, 40% ballistic ammo on the right arm, and 10% ballistic velocity on the left arm as well. Osiris. Now, we don't really see Osiris very often. This is a very rarely played mech nowadays. So we'll see what they did to this. Machine gun rate of fire for the 3D and range. The 1V, weapon velocity, cooldown, and ammo per ton for missile weapons. Rate of fire on the machine guns for the 2V. This is gonna help all these mechs that don't have like insane amounts of weapons, right? If you only have like, let's say 4 or 6 hard points for machine guns, if you increase the rate of fire by 50%, all of a sudden you have the equivalent of 9 machine guns, right? So this is quite interesting. 1P gets 10% heat and cooldown, 25% machine gun rate of fire, minus 15% laser duration. Energy and missile cooldown are removed, another 100% ammo per ton. And the SecMed, same thing, 50% machine gun rate of fire, 10% energy range, 10% cooldown, 10% velocity. Urbies! Oh god. What are you guys going? What is happening to the Urbies? All variants, left arm, armor plus 14, same as the right arm, 25% overheat damage. The R63 gets extra ballistic ammo per ton and LBX cooldown plus machine gun rate of fire. The R60 gets the same ballistics cooldown on top of that as well. Standard AC cooldown minus 5% and 30% machine gun rate of fire. Okay. The K9 gets an added minus 30% ultra autocannon jam chance, ballistic ammo per ton, velocity, range, and cooldown are getting reduced a little bit. No changes on the energy weapons. I mean, the K9 is just slap 5 medium power status on that. That's the K9 build, period. R68, ammo per ton for missile weapons. That will be interesting for MRM builds. Street Cleaner gets more ballistic ammo per ton, as well as the AC cooldown and machine gun rate of fire. And the R60L, same thing, ballistic ammo and machine gun rate of fire. So some slight changes. Aside from the armor on the left arm getting improved, no armor changes, but that doesn't surprise me because the urban mechs are assault mechs already. Moving on to the Panthers. All variants except the hero mech get 8 structure to the right arm and 20% overheat damage. 10K gets its PPC velocity increased to 40%. Nice. 8Z gets laser heat, standard laser cooldown, energy cooldown, large laser cooldown, and laser heat are getting removed. 10P gets the ballistic ammo per ton increase of 100%, and the KK, the Katana Cat, light PPC heat scale limit +1, so that thing will be able to alpha strike 4 light PPCs, that's 20 damage, without incurring ghost heat. That will be interesting. That'll be interesting as well. Ravens. All variants get the Survivor Quirks match with the Raven 4X, except the hero mech. 2X gets 15% cooldown, energy and missile cooldown get removed. 4X gets 5% energy cooldown, machine gun rate of fire 50%, and ballistic ammo per ton increase. And the Hugin gets 20% range, no missile range, because they already give it 20% range flat, and 25% machine gun rate of fire. Wolfhounds all get minus 20% overheat damage. The one gets 10% ER large laser heat. The one Bravo gets 10% standard laser heat. Wolfhounds already were in a very good spot, so also nothing too crazy on the changes here. Blackjacks, all variants, minus 10% overheat damage. Nah, okay. Defensive quirks were replaced with 10 armor to everywhere except the CT, which gets 13 armor, so Blackjack will be a little bit more tanky. No more structure bonuses on the 1X, and the Blackjack Arrow, Hero Mech, machine gun rate of fire 30%. The Arrow has 6 machine guns, 30% on top of that, so you're basically shooting with 8.5-ish machine guns, 9 machine guns. Nice. The Enforcer, where's Arn Anderson when you need him? Armor plus 12 on left arm, right arm on the 4P, 10% cooldown, 10% velocity. The 4R gets extra armor instead of structure, plus laser range. Enforcer 5D, extra armor instead of structure, range, cooldown, 10% LBX cooldown on top of that, so that's 25% cooldown on LBXs. That was nice. The 5P, energy cooldown 20%, minus 20% ultra autocannon jam chance, and 100% ballistic ammo per ton. Nice. And the Ghillie gets 5% energy range, 5% energy heat, and 50% stealth armor cooldown if you want to be stealthy with the Ghillie. Although, again, like I don't feel that this is such a huge thing, honestly. Griffins! Let's see what they did with the Griffins. Survival quirks will be identical to the Griffin 3M on all variants. 10 armor bonus on left arm and right arm because they fall off very easily because they are such nice shields when you're twisting. 1M gets cooldown heat changes and removed energy heat. The Griffin 1S gets 10% cooldown, minus 5% heat, and minus 5% missile heat, so 10% missile heat and 10% cooldown. Griffin 2N will be a little bit more cool, minus 5% heat, I appreciate that. 3M, 10% cooldown, 10% heat, because it doesn't have the ECM of the 2N, I like that. 5M, 10% cooldown, and ballistic cooldown reduced to 5%, because they give it a flat 10% cooldown. Ares, 10% heat, 10% cooldown, and the 1E Sparky, 10% PPC velocity, 10% rage. Okay. Hunchbacks. Right torso. 28 armor on top. On the 4G, 4H, and 4P, and grid iron. The 4SP gets 16 armor, and the 4J gets 20 armor. So just armor quirks getting increased on the hunchbacks, which is nice because they're easy to hit. Structure bonuses, of course, are getting removed. Grid iron, Gauss cooldown increased to minus 20%. That makes it a little bit more interesting. Okay. Hunchback 2C, all variants except the Bravo get plus 12 structure to left torso, CT, and right torso. 2C, minus 5% heat. This is going to help a little bit with the WXAC20s. Bravo gets 10 armor on left torso, right torso, and center torso. And also gets quirks for SRMs to encourage using SRMs on the Bravo and not LRMs like everybody does. I see you back there lurming in the background. Yes, you. You should be ashamed of yourself. Hunchback 2C Charlie gets energy cooldown and heat quirks. Nice. And the Death Wish, I believe. 10% cooldown, 10 ballistics, and 10% heat. Vindicators are variants, 10% overheat damage, and then it's just cooldown on the variants. 1X gets 20% cooldown, by the way. And the St. Ives Blues, also 10% cooldown, 10% range, 30% standard and ER laser duration, and 10% heat. Okay, this thing is going to run a little bit more cool, and have the laser duration going to be a little bit lower. Trebuchets are getting more armor and more structure, except the 7M doesn't get the armor. The Loup de Guerre gets 10% range, 10% heat, 10% missile spread, 10% pulse laser range. They're removing the medium pulse laser range, energy heat, and SRM heat. That is really, really nice. That's going to improve the MRMs, for example, on the Loup de Guerre quite a bit. On the Uziels, the favorite mech of Duncan Fisher. 8 armor, left torso, right torso, and center torso. Structure bonus is getting reduced to +8 on left torso and right torso. By the way, guys, I should probably mention this. If your mech variants show up as invalid, just remove all the armor from left torso, right torso, center torso, and that way most of these variants should be okay again. If you can't pinpoint the issue, it's because they changed the armor values and structure values to a new value that the game will, because you have different settings beforehand, those different settings beforehand will be reported to the game as invalid, so that's why you get the error. So just lower the armor to 0 on all the components, and all of a sudden your mech should be valid again, because it's going to update it to the new level then. Alrighty. 10% PPC on the 2S, 3P gets structure on the arms, ballistics cooldown, ballistics range, and 60% ballistics armor per ton. 3S gets cooldown and 5% heat, only 5% ballistic cooldown now. 5P cooldown, ballistic cooldown, energy cooldown, and missile spread. No more ER large laser cooldown. Machine gun rate of 50%, and the Belial gets 50% PPC velocity, 10% cooldown on PPCs, and 10% light PPC hit. Shadowcats. Alright. All variants get more CT armor and armor to left leg and right leg. Prime gets ballistic armor per ton to right arm and ballistics cooldowns. If you want to go ballistics with a Shadowcat, now you can do that. Most of this is just armor changes and then heat and cooldown changes on the Bravo. These are not sets of 8 though, so these might just be like quirks that are set on these particular components. That's gonna be interesting. So maybe we have to change our builds around a little bit. Mechepso gets right arm 100% ballistics ammo and minus 10% ballistics cooldown on the hero mech. Alright, Stormcrow, L variants, 5 CT armor and 8 armor to left leg and right leg. Prime gets left torso and right torso laser duration to both, so that is 5% in total. and 5% energy heat in total. So Stormcrow builds could be very interesting. There are a couple of really, really evil builds out there. Stormcrow Charlie, the head gets target decay duration plus 1 second. Ballistics cooldown, LBX spread, and ballistics ammo on the left arm pod. Interesting. More of the target decay on the delta, plus missile cooldown. Just scrolling through to see if I'm missing anything crazy. Sonko Bravo gets 15% UX jam chance on the left arm, plus 40% ammo, and 10% ballistics cooldown on the left arm. Alright. And the Lacerator, anything crazy going on here. 10% ballistics cooldown, 5% LBX spread, and 40% ballistic ammo. Alright. Champions. All champions get more armor on the legs, 10 armor on each leg. The one end gets extra armor to left arm and right arm. Ballistics cooldown 15%. Okay. 1 and 2 gets 10% missile cooldown. Interesting. 1 and B gets just more armor because it was already pretty good with Heavy Gauss, for example. 2N ballistics cooldown in range plus heat and missile cooldown 20% minus. Same thing on the 3N. So that might be a good option to put an MRM40 in there. Interesting. Nothing crazy happening with the Invictus as well. Mad Dogs, all variants except the Revenant, get 12 CT armor. And then left arm, right arm, 10 armor on the Prime. Missile spread on the left and right torso for the Prime. Moving on, 10% ballistic velocity on the Alpha. Cooldown, missile cooldown, 10% on the left torso for the Bravo. 10% Gauss cooldown to set off 8 for the Mad Dog Charlie. Plus 50% extra ammo for set of 8. So they want you to try out the Charlie with Gauss rifles. Keep that in mind. Maybe check that one out. Then let's see, what else do we have? The Bandit has its structure bonuses removed and armor instead. 15% UX jam chance, left torso and right torso. That is nice. It's better for Daka. And the Revenant armor on CT, left arm, right arm, energy range, energy cooldown, and missile cooldown 10%. Alright. Rifleman. All variants 10 armor on left arm and right arm, so make those arms a little bit more tanky, and 10 structure on left torso and right torso for those XL builds. Okay. Anything else? Rifleman L Delta gets a 10% cooldown on top of that. Eben Jax, more armor on the CT, more armor on left leg and right leg, and then it's just quirks on these specific areas. The Prime, for example, gets the missile quirks, plus energy heat and ballistic cooldown left arm, right arm. The Alpha gets 10% ballistic cooldown and 10% UX jam chance on the right torso. Anything else crazy? The Charlie gets 10% UX jam chance on left arm and right arm. Interesting. 5% missile heat. This is going to be a lot of like mixing and matching now that's completely thrown out of the bus and just completely reassembled. So that should be a lot of fun to check out. Esprit de Corps gets armor, ballistics cooldown on left torso, UX jam chance on left torso, heat on right torso for energy weapons, missile heat on left arm, right arm, and minus 12.5% laser duration. All of this is all over the place. So if you're trying to build something specific, you will have to mix and match those Omnimac parts, as always. Sunspider, all variants, extra armor on the CT. Prime gets extra armor on left torso, right torso, left arm and right arm. Same thing for the Alpha. Actually, it's happening on all the variants. The Alpha gets laser duration on left arm and right arm. And the VG, that's the Vanguard, gets extra missile spread on the left arm. So nothing too crazy going on here. Thanatos. Armor bonus on left torso and right torso is increased to 15 on all variants except the 5P. And leg and arm structure get a bonus is matched with the Thanatos 5S on all variants. The 4S gets 5% heat. Large pulse laser heat skill limit +1. So the Thanatos 4S is going to be able to shoot 4 large pulse lasers on the inner sphere side without incurring ghost heat. Interesting. The 5T gets MRM10 heat skill limit +2. That is an interesting change, because that allows you to shoot 6 MRM10s at the same time. And this is basically like a long-range SRM board now. This is going to be interesting. Thanatos 5T, keep that thing in mind. That will be very interesting. And the Hangover gets missile heat and laser heat. Hatamoto chi changes. Finally, let's see what's happening here. 27T gets missile spread, weapon velocity, PPC velocity has been removed, SRM cooldown and SRM heat. Okay. 27W Big armor buff, plus 25 right torso, plus 20 left torso, AC5 cooldown removed, flat 10% cooldown in there. 28 TR increases to CT armor, left. Okay, the 28 TR is just getting armored up a little bit. And the Shogo gets 5% missile spread, 5% heat, 5% cooldown, 10% LBX spread, and they remove the ballistic heat, unfortunately. Okay. All gargoyles get plus 15 armor on the legs. And then, ooh, that's a lot of changes. But these are all just small things. They will just, again, this is 5% cooldown right here. This is 5%, 10% weapon velocity. Flat weapon velocity, interesting. SRM, LRM spread are removed. Okay, so they're just making these variants a little bit better. 20 armor on left torso, right torso. So they're also armoring up the gargoyles quite a bit now, which is interesting. Yeah, I see a lot of increases to armors right here. In the gargoyle department. So the gargoyle will be a little bit more tanky, will be able to soak a little bit more damage before it goes down. So that is going to be some welcome news for all those enthusiasts of fast moving 80-ton assault mechs of the clan variety. Interesting. You can just go through this on your own time, guys. I'm just looking to this and see if there's anything that catches my eye that would be super, super interesting. But nope, nothing too crazy going on. Kinwolf gets 50% ballistic armor to left arm and right arm ports for Gauss and autocannons and whatnot. Okay. Zeus. All variants would have the survival quirks matched with the Zeus 5S on all variants. Zeus 5S gets 30% UX jam chance, 10% missile velocity, 5% missile spread. Alright. 6S gets 10% weapon velocity, 9S2 gets 10% weapon velocity, 15% cooldown, and the Skokomish gets missile spread and missile velocity. We'll have to see how the Zeus looks after that, but in my opinion, the Zeus is always going to be a little bit like... It's a weird one, right? You've got low slung weapon hardpoints, and in order to make that mech somewhat playable, you need to quirk the heck out of it for all those low slung weapons. Otherwise, you've got a problem. Cyclops changes. Minus 15% crit chance receiving on all the Cyclopses, which is going to be nice for the Sleipnir. The Alpha gets ballistic cooldown, missile cooldown, and heat. 11P gets missile cooldown and heat as well. 10Q gets 10% extra SRM range. I would have liked this to be like more like 20%, but 10Q is a really, really nice SRM board. You can do like 6 Artemis and an SRM 4 Artemis. So having 10% extra range on that is going to be a nice buff. I would have dared them to go 20%, so that you see more of these. Because the main challenge of the brawlers right now is a short range, and I think if you can get the SRM range just up 100 meters, you would get a lot more value out of those weapons. 10Z, 10% heat, 10% AC20 cooldown, 5% ballistic cooldown, and the 11 ADC cooldown SRM4 spread. Okay, 5% SRM4 5% SRM spread. Okay, all right. I don't know if that's going to be super good or not, but it doesn't seem to be that crazy. All right, Banshee. All variants will get the survival quirks of the Banshee 3S. 3E gets minus 5% on the PPC family heat. The Llama Lynch gets 15% flat cooldown, and the Siren gets 10% weapon velocity, plus improvements to the jump jets, because that's the only Banshee that can actually jump jet. Nightstar. All variants will get the survival quirks of the Nightstar 9J. Minus 10% crit chance receiving. And then, let's see what we have. Nightstar 10P. Rotary autocannon heat scale limit +1. Okay, now we're getting spicy. Like, you know what I always said? I want them to come up with that creative stuff. And rotary autocannon heat scale limit +1 on the 10P. That looks interesting. That looks very, very interesting. Nightstar's also sorely needed the buffs, so on top of that, 10% cooldown, 50% cooldown, sorry, 10% velocity, 10% range. That should be nice. 9FC gets ballistics cooldown, laser heat, laser duration, LBX spread, and ballistics velocity. 9S gets laser cooldown, energy heat. 9P gets energy cooldown, heat, ballistic velocity, and your jab chance. 9J gets 10% PPC family velocity, and the Wolf Phoenix gets a flat 10% heat, 10% cooldown, 5% missile spread, and 10% missile velocity. Wolf Phoenix is an MRM 120 mech. And here comes the big kahuna that a lot of king crab enthusiasts have been waiting for. AC20 heat scale limit +1. It's only taken 6-7 years, but it's finally here. You can shoot both AC20s on the king crab at the same time without incurring Ghost Heat. Golf claps. It's finally here. I'm happy about that. King Crab 000 gets ballistic cooldown 10%, plus some missile velocity and spread. The quadruple zero gets missile heat and energy heat. The 0 Bravo gets 5% weapon velocity, 5% vessel spread, 5% energy heat, and minus 25% UX jam chance. The 001 gets 10% heat, 15% energy cooldown, 10% laser range. And the Kaiju gets 5% missile spread, 10% heat, PPC heat 10% reduced, PPC heat scale limit +1, and 10% ballistics cooldown. So Kaiju could go Gauss and triple PPCs with that. As if I understand this correctly, triple PPC and Gauss rifle on the Kaiju should be possible with that. And that is everything that we needed to talk about. This is our go through the patch notes. Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, what is the most important thing that you took away from this? I'm sorry that we couldn't go more into the new Caustic Valley Reborn, but I mean, it's a sulfurous, gray, ochre kind of colors. There's really not much to see here, guys. PGI, if you want us to really be able to see what's going on here, remove the smoke or whatever and give us a full layout of the map and not just 3 little tidbits. That doesn't make me excited because I don't see the full picture. I'm sorry. So I need to see more of that in order to be able to have a clear opinion on that. What was the most interesting to you guys? Put it down in the comments below if you haven't done so yet. If this video was in any way helpful to you, share it with your friends that also play MWO. Hit the thumbs up button to let the YouTube algorithm know that this video should be shown to more people. If you want to support me in doing this full time, as always, check out the links in the video description below. This has been TTB. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.